The next morning, I was back at my chores, and no one thought to ask how I was. Why would they? But I must have creeped them out more than usual because I was sent out to get more groceries. I was glad to be sent out. Listening to the new she-wolves go on and on about how beautiful the run was, how liberating, was just too much. It hurt to know what I was being deprived of. What else could I do except go through the motions? As I was finishing up packing the last of the groceries in the station wagon, a neon sign turned on in the tattoo shop next to me. I took a step closer. The window showcased several designs: dragons, butterflies, skulls, and roses. I walked up and fixed my gaze on the last row of designs. Moons. I never wanted much. To be an omega would have been enough. A quiet wolf would have been okay. I never wished for a moon gift and never even imagined myself with a crescent. I was loyal. I was hard-working. I so wanted to be a part of them. But I was rejected by the moon, my one and only companion. Anger surged up unexpectedly, and a wild thought was born. If the moon wouldn't accept me as her own, I would prove myself. I'd show her how devoted I was. If I had any money of my own. I turned back to leave, and $100 bill tumbled through the wind and planted itself on my ankle. I looked around, but there was nobody. If there was ever a sign, this was it. I grabbed the bill and walked into the tattoo shop with determination. The guy at the counter told me to pick one from the book. I flipped through looking at the various moon designs. I even found one that was a pretty good replica of the moon gift symbol. In a moment of fury, I decided on that design, knowing it was sacrilege. I almost called the man over to tell him my decision, but my voice failed me as old words rang in my head. Do not pretend such things. It's sacred. The late Luna was right. My anger vanished, leaving me empty. I felt dead. The moon gift was too beautiful a symbol for me to fake with ink on my skin. The guy raised his eyebrow, waiting for me to decide. I could just leave, but I flipped the page. This page was mostly wreaths of flowers, and one caught my eye. A minimalist design of flowers and vines curving into a perfect crescent. Yes, the flowers were perfect. It would be like flowers on a grave. I had to bury my dreams. The flowers rested over my heart, nestled between my breasts. My clothes would cover it easily. I felt a little embarrassed unbuttoning my shirt, but the guy focused on his work. The pain of the needle was cathartic. After a half hour, it was done. I paid the man and went back into Black Wolf territory. I kept my head down and continued my service. No tears. I knew my place. I was nothing, just a human. I should leave, but I had nowhere to go, and I didn't know any other life than what I had now. I knew sooner or later I'd be in trouble once they realised I was nothing more than a failed halfling. I needed to prepare to leave at least, so I started to look for jobs and apartments in town. Somehow, though, as people left on vacations for the summer, I had to take on more chores to make up for missing staff. I didn't have the time to get a job outside of the manor. Back to plan A. Keep my head down, be useful, be nothing. Except, I wasn't quite successful. Over the summer, my life changed in a way I never expected. Ever since the flower moon, Reed came down to the kitchen once or twice a week. It was always at about 5 a.m, just the two of us sharing coffee. Sometimes he spoke, sometimes he didn't. But it was nice that he was there. Time with Reed was gentle and healing, like light in darkness, or oxygen underwater. Despite it being completely against my new policy of not being noticed, I found myself looking forward to his impromptu company. I made sure I was ready for the visits. I didn't feel sad on the days he didn't come down. That would be presumptuous of me. But it made my day when he did. Months went by, and other than my moments with Reed, my life with the Black Wolves didn't change. I just had to make it through the summer, then the other staff would return, and I would have more time. I figured if I started working in town from autumn, even part-time, maybe at the supermarket, I could afford an apartment by spring. I could safely extricate myself from the wolves without having to go homeless. I had to admit, I would miss Reed and our breakfasts. But I knew he would be too busy to have time for me after his alpha ceremony on the harvest moon, even if I stayed. Again, it sounded presumptuous to think he was there for me and not an early breakfast. I had to take care to categorize our time correctly. My feelings had no place here. One mid-August morning, a particularly hot one with the sun already glaring through the windows, Reed came for his early breakfast looking more than annoyed. I handed him iced coffee, hoping the cool drink would help. He smiled his appreciation, but the irritation crept back. "Is everything all right?" I meant about the breakfast, but he answered,
My alpha ceremony is coming up. I have to choose a beta and I'm stuck.
"Oh." I wasn't expecting this. He looked at me, and our eyes met. I looked down immediately. He huffed.
Never mind.
He looked like he would leave. I didn't know why I stopped him. I shouldn't have. It wasn't my place at all. "Perhaps if you talk it out, I will listen, if that will help." I trailed off, expecting for him to laugh or scoff or yell. A halfling offering to help solve an alpha's dilemma was hilarious to say the least. Reed didn't do any of those things, though. He got comfortable on the bar stool and leaned on his arms.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Well, Layla is the strongest of all of the she-wolves, especially with her moon gift. And she's been surprisingly nice lately, helping me out with the summer games and organizing the moon run. The choice should naturally come down to her, but I'm not sure I trust that she's really changed.
I kept my mouth shut. She was the one who always bullied me. Granted, she hadn't pushed me physically in a few months. She had a way of smirking and threatening me with glares. I'm guessing if she wasn't busy with trying to kiss up to become beta, she would be happy to turn her attention to me. If I told Reed any of this, Layla would definitely hurt me, so I got out the cloth napkins that needed folding instead.
On the other hand, there's Sarah. She's my best friend and I trust her, but my dad wouldn't want me to make a decision based on emotion.
Oh.
His first beta was his best friend. He ended up going rogue, and so Patrick was moved from Gamma to Beta.
I always wondered why we didn't have a Gamma. This pack was missing a Lunar and a Gamma, but somehow stayed the strongest pack in Nova Scotia. A testament to Reed's father's leadership. It was no wonder Reed felt so much pressure to make the right decision. He raked his fingers through the soft curls of his hair.
He'd never be okay with Sarah. Plus, Sarah's not the strongest. I think she might even be in the bottom 10.
Sarah got her moon gift behind her right ear. That means she's got the power of intellect.
I'm not sure about that. She's far from logical.
It's behind her right ear, not her left. That makes her a creative thinker.
Hmm.
Critical thinking is much more helpful in tough situations than rigid logic. I purposefully avoided saying, or brute force, as that was all Layla really had to offer. While it wasn't my place to speak so directly to someone of high rank, like Reed, he had encouraged me to push the limits little by little. It made me bolder than I should be. Besides, you have all the strength you need on your own.
Huh?
A quick glance showed me he was blushing a bit. Was it getting hotter in the kitchen? My cheeks were flushed as well. I should definitely stop talking now.
Delicious as always.
I watched him go, incredulous that I had spoken so candidly with him and he didn't get upset. In the afternoon, Layla came into the kitchen, and I immediately felt my anxiety shoot up. Was she here to hurt me because of my conversation with Reed this morning? Luckily, she seemed unaware of my recommendations.
Make a picnic enough for 5. We're leaving in half an hour.
I scrambled around and made an impromptu basket. 2, actually. I ran and got a tray of extra chicken drums, made sandwiches, and was ready to pack their car in time. Layla, Sarah, Reed, Jason, and Elliot were gathered up front.
Here.
Layla tossed me the keys to her Jeep, which I couldn't catch because my arms were full. She laughed, and Jason and Elliot sniggered. Sarah and Reed were unaware, as they were already headed outside. I had to hurry so they wouldn't be inconvenienced waiting for me. I sat the baskets down, grabbed the keys, picked everything back up, and ran past them to the car. I opened the trunk of the Jeep and neatly packed their picnic gear.
Hello, my keys?
Layla huffed. Yes, here you are. I handed her the keys, looking down at my feet. No eye contact. Layla looked in the trunk.
I don't want to carry all that to the beach.
Bring the runt. She can do all the setup.
Elliot pointed out.
Ew, disgusting.
Layla,
Reed didn't look happy.
Fine, she can come.
What? I didn't want to go,
You can sit in the back with the food.
Jason said, scooping me up and tossing me into the trunk without any effort. I thought I heard one of them growl in a low tone, but had no idea who it was, as Elliot hooted with laughter at my momentarily panicked expression.
And don't eat any of it. If you're good, we'll give you the scraps.
Elliot said, then slammed the back closed. The car started to feel stuffy and hot immediately. Luckily, the AC was strong just as soon as they started the car. Still, with the summer heat on the outside and 5 werewolves radiating body heat, the back was not as cool as I hoped. The only thing nice about the ride over was the scent. Somehow the car smelled fresh like a waterfall. Of course, that wasn't enough to keep me from getting carsick. The ride down to the beach was extra bumpy in the back. I was glad the location was close because 5 more minutes, and I might have thrown up into one of the baskets.
Look at the halfling. She's practically green.
Jason laughed as he pulled me out of the car. He was kind enough to set me on my feet instead of tossing me to the ground, so I was thankful.
are you all right?
Reed asked.
Ooh, the future alpha is so nice, he even checks up on the help.
I didn't like the jealous undertone in Elliot's voice. Everyone knew Elliot wished he was chosen as the next alpha. If I could have growled, I would have. Reed wasn't chosen to be the next alpha only because his father was. He had earned it time and time again through the years. I would have screamed all that in Elliot's face. If it were my place, but it wasn't.
Enough, Elliot. We're here to relax.
It was Sarah. Elliot shrugged and ran towards the beach. I looked back into the car to get the picnic stuff. I couldn't help but smile a little, as I felt Sarah had diffused the situation quite effectively. She really would be a good choice for Beta. Reed watched the others run after Elliot, already laughing playfully. He whispered to me,
I think you might be right about Sarah.